Have you ever had one of those nights where you're just exhausted, your baby's restless, and you're wondering if you'll ever get a full night's sleep again? Trust me, I get it. It's tough. Babies can be a handful when it comes to sleep. There's so much newness for them, and their tiny bodies are still adjusting to the world around them. As parents or caregivers, we want what's best for our little ones, and that includes helping them sleep soundly. But how do you help them get that deep, peaceful rest, and more importantly, how can you make sure you're able to sleep too? In today's video, we're going to tackle just that. We'll go over 5 simple strategies to help your baby sleep through the night, strategies that are not only easy to implement but also nurturing and gentle for your little one. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how to create a sleep-friendly environment and establish routines that will support your baby's natural sleep rhythms. And let's face it, a well-rested baby usually means a well-rested you. So, let's jump right in with the first tip that can help create the foundation for better sleep, both for your baby and yourself. 1. Create a consistent bedtime routine. Now, I know you might be thinking, does a bedtime routine really make that much of a difference? The answer is yes, absolutely. Babies thrive on consistency. They find comfort and security in knowing what to expect, especially at bedtime. A consistent bedtime routine helps signal to your baby that it's time to wind down and prepare for sleep. And when your baby knows what to expect, they're less likely to fight it. Think about it this way, we adults often have routines that help us sleep. Maybe you take a warm shower, read a book, or have a cup of tea before bed. These habits signal to your brain that it's time to wind down. Well, babies need this same kind of structure. You might start with a warm bath, followed by a gentle massage, dimming the lights, or reading a quiet story. Even if your baby is too young to understand the story, the soothing rhythm of your voice helps calm them down. The key is to keep it simple, predictable, and calm. Stick to the same routine every night so your baby can associate those activities with sleep time. The more consistent you are, the more your baby will understand that it's time to sleep. But I want to emphasize that the routine doesn't have to be long or complicated. It's not about perfection, it's about creating a sense of calm and security. Even if it's just 10 to 15 minutes of peaceful activities, your baby will start to recognize the cues and settle into sleep more easily. 2. Create a sleep-friendly environment. Now that we have a routine in place, let's talk about the sleep environment itself. Imagine if you were trying to sleep in a room that was too bright, too noisy, or too hot. It would be tough, right? Babies are the same. They need an environment that encourages rest and relaxation, and that environment should be quiet, dark, and comfortably cool. Darkness signals to your baby's body that it's time for sleep. You can use blackout curtains to block out any light that might be disrupting their sleep. If you're worried about the dark, a dim nightlight is a safe option, but make sure it's not too bright. Temperature also plays a big role in sleep. Too hot or too cold can make it difficult for your baby to get a restful night. The ideal room temperature for sleeping babies is around 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. You can adjust accordingly with a fan or heater, depending on the season. And don't forget about noise. Babies are sensitive to sounds, and if your home is particularly noisy at night, it could disturb their sleep. Consider using a white noise machine or a fan to create a constant, soothing sound that will help mask other noises and keep your baby's sleep environment peaceful. This little trick can work wonders for keeping your baby from waking up at every creak of the house. Now, before we move on to the next tip, I want to remind you that small changes can lead to big results. Sometimes it's as simple as dimming the lights or adjusting the room temperature. And trust me, a calm and soothing environment can make all the difference in your baby's sleep quality. So, now that we've covered creating a consistent bedtime routine and a sleep-friendly environment, let's move on to tip number 3. Now that we've discussed creating a consistent bedtime routine and setting up a sleep-friendly environment, let's take a deeper look at how we can support your baby's sleep with some additional strategies that focus on the timing and feeding aspects of sleep. 3. Keep a consistent sleep schedule. Just as we adults benefit from a consistent routine, babies also thrive when their sleep schedule is regular. You may already know this, but babies don't have the same sense of time as we do. They don't have the concept of bedtime the way we understand it, so it's important to establish a schedule for naps, bedtime, and even wake time. One of the most common mistakes new parents make is waiting until their baby is overtired before trying to get them to sleep. It's easy to think, oh, they'll fall asleep on their own when they're tired enough. However, this often leads to a very fussy baby who has trouble falling asleep. You see, when babies get overtired, their bodies produce stress hormones that make it even harder for them to fall asleep. To avoid this, try to establish a consistent bedtime and nap schedule. A baby who knows they're going to bed at the same time each night is more likely to settle down more easily and fall asleep faster. It's important to pay attention to your baby's sleep cues. Rubbing their eyes, yawning, or getting fussy can be signs they're ready to sleep. This is the perfect time to start the bedtime routine. Now, I know that some nights things don't go as planned. Maybe your baby's sleep cycle is off, or they've had an extra long nap. But the more consistent you are with the timing, the more your baby's internal clock will adjust, and eventually, it'll become second nature for them to fall asleep at the right times. 4. Avoid overstimulation before bedtime. This next tip ties into the idea of creating a calming atmosphere before bed. While a consistent bedtime routine and sleep schedule are important, it's also crucial to be mindful of the activities you engage in with your baby right before bed. Overstimulating your baby with lots of excitement, bright lights, or active play can interfere with their ability to wind down for the night. Think about it. After a long day, you probably don't want to jump into an intense workout or have a conversation about stressful things right before heading to bed. Your baby is no different. They need some downtime before they're ready to relax and sleep. The last hour before bedtime should be peaceful and quiet, no loud noises or exciting activities. Instead of playtime with toys that light up or make noise, consider winding down with a soft lullaby or playing with a stuffed animal. Even though they may not fully understand what's going on, the gentle, soothing nature of these activities will help signal to your baby that it's time for bed. It's also a good idea to avoid screen time during the last 30 minutes before bed. We know that screens can be stimulating for adults, but they're even more so for babies. The blue light from screens can interfere with their natural sleep cycle and make it harder for them to settle down. So, try to keep things as calm as possible in that window before sleep. By avoiding overstimulation, you help your baby wind down and get into the right state for sleep. This can be a game changer when it comes to how quickly your baby drifts off. So far, we've talked about consistency in routines, a calming environment, and the importance of avoiding overstimulation. These are the pillars of helping your baby sleep through the night. But we still have a couple of key strategies to cover. Now that we've built a solid foundation with a consistent bedtime routine, creating the perfect sleep environment, sticking to a sleep schedule, and avoiding overstimulation before bed, it's time to take a closer look at two more key strategies that can really make a difference. These are often overlooked but are incredibly effective in improving both your baby's sleep and your own. 5. Consider nighttime feedings and sleep associations. For many new parents, one of the toughest challenges is dealing with nighttime feedings. It's completely normal for babies to wake up for a feed during the night, especially in the first few months. However, as your baby grows, you may find that those nighttime feedings become less necessary, but they can still be a habit that's hard to break. One of the key things to consider here is sleep associations. Babies often form associations between certain actions and sleep. For instance, they might become accustomed to being fed or rocked to sleep. This can be a lovely bonding experience, but it can also make it harder for them to fall asleep on their own as they get older. As your baby approaches 4 to 6 months, you can start gently encouraging them to fall asleep without needing that feed. This doesn't mean you have to stop feeding your baby altogether at night, but you may want to gradually reduce the amount of feeding or the time spent feeding before bedtime. The idea here is to help your baby learn to self-soothe and fall asleep independently. If your baby still wakes up during the night, try offering a soothing technique that doesn't involve feeding, like gentle patting or offering a pacifier. It's important to be patient during this process because babies don't always adjust immediately, and it can take a few nights to a week for them to start sleeping through the night. I know this might sound like a tough transition, but just like any new skill, it takes practice. A lot of parents have found that once they gradually decrease the number of nighttime feeds, their babies start to sleep for longer stretches, which means more sleep for you as well. It's all about helping your baby develop a healthy sleep pattern and moving away from those sleep associations that might be keeping them from sleeping through the night. 6. Be patient and flexible. We've covered a lot of strategies that can help your baby sleep better, but there's one last important point that I want to emphasize: be patient and flexible. Every baby is different, and sleep patterns can vary from one infant to the next. Some babies might take to these changes quickly, while others might need a little extra time. It's important to keep this in mind and not be discouraged if things don't happen as fast as you'd hoped. There will be nights when everything works perfectly, and your baby sleeps soundly through the night. And there will be other nights when your baby wakes up, no matter what you do. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you failed or that your baby is never going to sleep through the night. Babies are constantly growing, developing, and changing, and that means their sleep patterns might evolve, too. In fact, there may be periods where your baby's sleep regresses, especially during growth spurts or when they're teething. These things are temporary and usually resolve themselves with time. If you're patient, stay consistent with your approach, and remain flexible when needed, you'll find that your baby's sleep improves over time. At the end of the day, the goal is to find a rhythm that works for both you and your baby. You're doing your best, and that's what matters most. Trust yourself and know that with a little time, consistency, and love, your baby will learn to sleep through the night. And as they do, you'll get more rest, too. Conclusion. So, there you have it, 5 tips that can help your baby sleep through the night. From establishing a consistent bedtime routine to being patient and flexible, each of these strategies plays a crucial role in creating a peaceful and restful sleep environment for your baby, and by extension, for you as well. Remember, it's a process, and every baby is unique. Don't be too hard on yourself if things don't go perfectly right away. What matters is that you're giving your baby the tools they need to develop healthy sleep habits. With time, patience, and consistency, you'll see improvements. If you found these tips helpful, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share your experiences or any other tips you have in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips on baby care and parenting. Together, we can help make these early years a little smoother for you and your baby. Here's to better sleep, happier babies, and more restful nights. You've got this.